In the dense jungles of Vietnam, where danger hides in every shadow, one man became a legend among soldiers. His name is Shriver, but to those who knew him, he was Mad Dog. He wasn't just a soldier, he was a force of nature, a Green Beret who seemed born for the chaos of war. To his enemies he was a nightmare, but to his comrades he was a hero who never backed down. This is the story of Mad Dog Shriver, a man who lived and fought with a savage intensity in one of the most brutal wars in history. Form Disher, with a one-man sleep, T-curve, the Norris beat. The cases, Mon de name, Dialoma follow-and, why the connects, and Siam Denifices, word, the Lloyd, TP Surd.
Welcome to Unveiled History.
The Vietnam War, fought from 1955 to 1975, was unlike any conflict America had faced before. It wasn't a war of open battlefields or clear front lines. It was a brutal, confusing fight in dense jungles, rice paddies, and small villages. The United States entered the war to stop the spread of communism, supporting South Vietnam against the communist North Vietnamese and their allies, the Viet Cong. The Viet Cong were guerrilla fighters, experts at ambushes, traps, and disappearing into the jungle. They didn't fight like a traditional army, and that made them deadly. Under name. By the mid-1960s, the US had sent hundreds of thousands of troops to Vietnam. The terrain was unforgiving, humid, muddy, and full of hidden dangers like booby traps and snipers. American soldiers faced an enemy they often couldn't see in a land they didn't understand. The war wasn't just about fighting, it was about surviving. For every victory, there were heavy losses. The Viet Cong used the jungle like a weapon, striking fast and vanishing. To fight them, the US needed soldiers who could adapt, think on their feet, and face death without flinching. Shriver was one of those men. Form Disher, USB a 343. Dirk same. Mad. God. Form Disher. Starting up. Michael Shriver was born on September 24, 1941, in Defuniak Springs, Florida. Growing up in the rural South, he was no stranger to hard work and the outdoors. His family didn't have much money, so Jerry learned early to rely on himself. He hunted in the woods, fished in local streams, and developed a knack for surviving in tough conditions. He was tough, wiry, and quick, with a sharp mind and a stubborn streak. He didn't talk much about his feelings, but those who knew him said he had a fire inside, a drive to prove himself. Form Disher. After high school, Jerry didn't head to college. Instead, he joined the army in 1961, at the age of 20. The world was tense, Cold War fears were high, and the US was gearing up for conflict in Southeast Asia. Jerry wanted to be where the action was. He didn't just want to be a soldier, he wanted to be the best. That drive led him to the Green Berets, where he endured brutal training that tested his Berets were sent to remote outposts, often working with South Vietnamese or Montagnard tribesmen, local fighters who knew the jungle. Jerry's job was to lead these men, train them, and take the fight to the enemy. It was dangerous work. Special forces camps were often surrounded, outnumbered, and far from help. But Jerry didn't just survive in this world, he thrived. He earned the nickname Mad Dog early on, and it stuck. The name came from his wild, fearless style. He'd charge into firefights with a grin, cracking jokes even as bullets flew. His men said he seemed to love the chaos. He wore a camouflage bandana, carried a sawed-off shotgun, and had a habit of howling like a dog during missions, which spooked the enemy and made his team laugh. But behind the bravado was a sharp tactician. Jerry studied the jungle, learned its sounds, and memorized its dangers. He could spot a trap or an ambush before anyone else. One of his first assignments was with Project Delta, a secretive special forces unit that ran reconnaissance missions deep in enemy territory. These missions were high risk. Small teams would sneak into Viet Cong strongholds, gather intelligence, and sometimes call in airstrikes. Jerry excelled at this. He could move silently through the jungle, blending in like a ghost. His men trusted him completely. He never left anyone behind, and he always put himself in the line of fire to protect his team. By 1968, Jerry Shriver was a legend among the Green Berets. He'd served multiple tours in Vietnam, each one more dangerous than the last. He volunteered for the toughest missions, often going into areas labeled VC-controlled. Stories about him spread through the ranks. One story described how he single-handedly held off a Viet Cong ambush, firing his M16 until the barrel glowed red. Another time, he led a team through a minefield to rescue pinned-down soldiers, carrying a wounded man on his back while under fire. Jerry wasn't reckless, though. He was calculated. He studied maps, interrogated prisoners, and learned the enemy's tactics. He spoke some Vietnamese and worked closely with Montagnard fighters, earning their respect. The Montagnards, tough mountain people who hated the Viet Cong, called him a brother. He treated them as equals, sharing food and joking with them around campfires. In return, they fought fiercely by his side. His bravery earned him medals, including 2 Bronze Stars and a Silver Star. But Jerry didn't care about awards. He cared about his men and the mission. He was known for defying orders if he thought they were stupid. He brought everyone back alive. But the war took a toll. Jerry saw friends die. He survived ambushes and rocket attacks. The jungle was relentless, and so was he. He started carrying a photo of his sister in his pocket, a reminder of home. Yet he kept volunteering for more missions. Some said he was addicted to the adrenaline. Others thought he felt a duty to keep fighting so others wouldn't.
Have to. Either way, Mad Dog became a name the Viet Cong feared. They put a bounty on his head, $10,000, a fortune at the time. However, this didn't stop him. On April 24, 1969, Jerry Shriver went on his last mission. He was 27 years old and on his 3rd tour in Vietnam. By then, he'd been in the country for nearly 3 years, longer than most Special Forces soldiers. He was leading a team with the Military Assistance Command, Vietnam Studies and Observations Group, MACV-SOG, a top-secret unit that ran covert operations. Their mission was to disrupt enemy supply lines along the Ho Chi Minh Trail, a network of paths the North Vietnamese used to move weapons and troops. The mission was codenamed Operation Heavy Green. Jerry's team, a small group of Green Berets and Montagnards, was to insert by helicopter into a remote part of Laos, a neutral country where the US wasn't supposed to be fighting. The area was crawling with enemy troops. Intelligence warned of heavy defenses, but Jerry's team was used to bad odds. They loaded up with rifles, grenades, and a radio to call for air support. The helicopter dropped them into a clearing, but things went wrong fast. As soon as they hit the ground, they were ambushed. Hundreds of North Vietnamese soldiers opened fire from the trees. Bullets tore through the jungle and mortars exploded around them. Jerry's team fought back, but they were outnumbered. Jerry grabbed the radio and called for extraction. He fired his weapon, directing his men to cover. The team held out for hours, but the enemy kept coming. Jerry was everywhere, firing, shouting orders, dragging wounded men to safety. He refused to retreat without his team. As the helicopter approached for extraction, a bullet or shrapnel hit him. Witnesses said he went down fighting, still shouting for his men to get to the chopper. The helicopter caught heavy fire and had to pull out. Jerry and several others were left behind. What happened next is unclear. The jungle swallowed the truth. Some reports say Jerry was killed in the firefight. Others claim he was captured and executed. His body was never found, and he was listed as missing in action, MIA. For years, rumors persisted that he'd survived, that he was a prisoner in a hidden camp. His family held out hope, but no evidence ever surfaced. In 1988, the US government officially declared him dead. Jerry Shriver's story didn't end in that jungle. His name lived on among the Green Berets. Soldiers told stories of his courage, his loyalty, and his wild spirit. He became a symbol of what it meant to be a Special Forces soldier, fearless, selfless, and unbreakable. His men said he was the kind of leader who made you believe you could survive anything. The Montagnards mourned him like family, holding ceremonies in his honor. The war in Vietnam ended in 1975, with the fall of Saigon. The US lost and the cost was staggering. Over 58,000 American lives and millions of Vietnamese. Jerry Shriver was one of thousands listed as MIA, a reminder of the war's unanswered questions. His sister, Linda, spent years searching for answers, writing letters and pushing the government for information. She never gave up hope, even as decades passed. Today, Jerry's name is on the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C., among the fallen. His medals, Silver Star, Bronze Stars, Purple Hearts, tell part of his story, but not all of it. The real story is in the men he saved, the missions he completed, and the legend he left behind. The legend of Jerry Mad Dog Shriver ends in a shroud of mystery. What's your theory on his final moments? Was it a warrior's end in a brutal firefight or a calculated execution? Unravel the enigma with us in the comments below. And if you're drawn to the raw, untold stories of history's most savage conflicts and controversial figures, then hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what's next.